It's hard to program your mind to be like kindness is everywhere, but it is. You just have to actually be looking for it to see it.
It's the morning show with Kathryn Thomas on Dublin's Q102. Now, I know a lot of us think we've done something impressive when we cycle to work, or maybe we even take a weekend spin up the Dublin mountains. But today's guest is taking things to a whole new level. He has cycled, well, he's halfway there, or almost, or over halfway there. He's cycling from Ireland all the way to Australia. No flights, no shortcuts, just two wheels, the open road, and a serious sense of adventure. Fergal Guihen, lovely to chat to you this morning.
Kathryn, how are you? Thanks for having me on. It's great to get talking about the travels.
Yeah, well, listen, you know me. I'm a woman who I'll talk travel all day long if they'd let me. But where am I actually talking to you? Where in the world are you at the moment?
So I'm currently in Indonesia. I think it's my 26th country here, and I'm maybe 3 days outside the capital of Jakarta. I'm here in the back of this old man's house. He's a massive cycling community here in Indonesia, and they have all these little homestays you can stay in. So looking around me now, like I'm after just going to the toilet there, where it's not a proper flush one. It's you have to throw the basin of water into it. The hole in the ground, even more, you throw the water in on top of it, and yeah, it's surrounded by other houses. Here, Indonesia is like the fourth highest population in the world, so it's pretty busy.
Brilliant. Well, listen, I have been following you online for a good couple of months now. Your Instagram handle is Rossi to Aussie. So you're from Roscommon. You're a Roscommon man cycling to Australia.
I am.
Where did the idea come from? Why are you doing it? Where did the idea come from? When did you set off? Give us all the background.
Yeah, I guess I'm a nurse. I would have trained in St. James's Hospital, and when I was 18, 19, I would have been working along with people that unfortunately were passing away. So I would have spent a lot of time listening to their stories and getting to know them. So at that age, it's kind of really made me realize that I'm not going to be around forever. So when I did eventually qualify as a nurse, I worked for a year or two post-COVID. But then I was really asking myself the questions: what do I want to do? Because I'm not going to be here forever. And I knew I loved to travel, and I knew I loved endurance sports, but that was more so running. I never once cycled before, so I thought it would have been too long now to run from Ireland to Australia. So I mixed it up, and I learned how
seriously,
to cycle.
you had never really been into cycling at all?
No, sure. I changed my first flat tire outside Paris. I'd no clue.
Oh my God. You see, I love this.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. So where did the idea come from then?
So I was planning to move to Australia anyways, because I'm a nurse, and as a lot of Irish healthcare workers and all backgrounds are moving out there for work. So I said I didn't want to go out there and spend 2 years working away just to move home. I wanted to see a bit of the world while I could. So I guess that's why I had Australia as the destination, and I also wanted to do it for a reason bigger than me. So I got involved with the two charities that of course mean a lot to myself. Being a nurse, palliative care, would have my great granny, she would have been looked after by the Roscommon Mayo Hospice Foundation, and then I'm also doing it for a suicide prevention charity, Northwest Stop Suicide Prevention. And unfortunately I'd have family members and that would have passed away from suicide, and most recently when I was 8 months into this cycle challenge, my cousin Tom unfortunately passed away from suicide. So it's a cause that's close to my heart, and thankfully there's a lot of donations coming in that can hopefully make families not feel the way that my family did. So it's all about prevention.
Incredible stuff. How much have you raised so far?
So far I think we're just touching the 80 grand mark, which is far exceeded my expectations. So it's just, the kindness out there is amazing, and yeah, it's great that I can show people the world why I'm seeing it myself. So I'm really taken back by it.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. But you take people on this adventure, and to be able to raise, that is an incredible amount of money. Like, you set off in March 2024, 23,000 kilometres to get to Australia. So you said you changed your first tyre outside Paris. So talk to us. You went through Paris, Switzerland, Germany and Austria before cycling down to Greece. And then take us from Greece then across, because I suppose that's where it gets a little bit more challenging, I'd imagine, going through the Middle East and onwards.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of people, I guess, might have traveled to countries like Turkey before, but I never would have been any further east than Munich. So when I crossed into Turkey, it's a Muslim country, was all very new to me, and I would have been camping a lot of my trip. And there were so many days, you just have this fear. Like a lot of my journey has been facing fear straight on. So I remember camping in my tent in Turkey and just sleeping in this abandoned dressing room, and all I could see was the moonlight coming in the crack in the door, and I would just convince myself that someone walked by the door, and that would happen over and over and over again all night, and I ended up just getting no sleep. But all it is your just imagination. It's just yourself telling you that it's your body just trying to create something to run away from. I don't know how best to describe it, but I just had to convince myself that until I see danger, I'm not going to be afraid of it. So I could hear noises at night anymore in my tent. I could, whatever, but it's not until I see a gun, a knife, or something like that that I actually will lose sleep. So I had to recondition my mind for this type of travel. But the thing that surprised me, so that was my fear. But the other thing that surprised me was just a massive amount of kindness of what it came through, like going through countries like Iran, Afghanistan. Like I didn't plan to go to them countries. But as I went on through Turkey, I would have met other travelers coming the other way, and they went through Iran, Afghanistan, and I was like, you can go through there and not die. So obviously, I was like, well, when am I ever going to be able to do something like this? And I just had to hit straight into it, and obviously a lot of fear entering these countries, but like I was rewarded tenfold with the kindness that would have come out the other end. Like there's amazing to see these countries.
And you know what? It is so good to hear you say that, because all we're doing is like seeing the kind of the negative and the build up with Iran at the moment. Afghanistan, of course, we've got such connotations of Afghanistan. I remember reading Dervla Murphy's book Full Tilt, and she cycled from Ireland to India. And again, she spoke about the kindness of the Afghani people and the Afghani men particularly as well. So it is actually lovely, and that those corridors, and there are corridors that are still open that you can be cycling through there. Are your parents still alive, Fergal?
They are, yeah. I actually, I have four siblings, and my mother and father, thankfully, are still. So,
what do they think? I mean, your mother back in Roscommon thinking of you going off. Like it's all very well saying, oh, everybody's very kind, but when when you're that far away, going through these places, it's kind of a worrying one for her, I suppose.
yeah, yeah. Well, I would have met travelers going through that. They would have done wild things all their life. But for me, I would have played Gaelic football all my life. I went off to university in Dublin. I would have moved back home. Like everything was, bog standard, like the way we kind of do it in Ireland. Nothing. I never would have went off like skiing or climbing mountains or stuff, anything weird. So my parents would have been like, what are you on about? Like, why are you cycling from Ireland to Australia? But they never put pressure on me in the sense like career wise or like whatever I was happy doing. But the one thing that they were really scared was they were like, do you actually know what you're doing? We'll let you do what you want. They would never stop me, but they were always, just we don't want you to die doing something like this. And if it is, if you're in the middle of it and you want to come home, like do it. Don't just because you met a public doesn't mean that you can't. So obviously a lot of tears, a lot of me having to convince them, because I had to convince myself that I really believe that the world is a great place. And I would have had people telling me, oh, you're going to die out there. And I just had to ignore all this negativity. And of course my parents did too, but it's very hard in their situation where they're obviously very worried about me.
Did you have any negative situations or dangerous situations?
Yeah. Well, only one that stands out, and to put a preface on it, it's Iran. It was one of my favorite countries. The hospitality and the kindness I came across. But unfortunately, I was cycling along in Iran, and people would have been handing me, water and food out the window of moving cars. I'd stop for lunch at noon. They'd be trying to make me stay the night there. Like you couldn't get away from the kindness. So I was coming out of the basin up onto like the desert landscape, and I seen the first tree in I don't know how long, and I was going to hide under it because it was 45 degrees outside. And as soon as I got to the tree, a car pulled in, and I just had a good feeling that this was a bad person. And long story short, he handed me some juice, and he ended up injecting something into it. So I completely lost all motor skills in my hands, and we had a bit of a fight. He didn't get anything robbed from me, but I ended up severely having a big wound on my leg. So me in this awful state. I could barely even protect myself. It was the most vulnerable I ever felt. I ended up get someone stopped and brought me to a hospital, and yeah, the kindness in the hospital then, like everyone was apologizing that this happened in their country. I didn't have to pay for a thing because they were just like so, like they were honestly embarrassed how a traveler can come through and someone would harm them. So it was a once-off case, and just the kindness that would have come from that, like the people, how they would have been, like they're so apologetic. And yeah, it was just a once-off case. It is a pity it did happen there, but yeah, it was hard to continue after that. I had Afghanistan afterwards, but it was easier to continue than it was to go backwards. And thankfully, I kept going. And look, I'm almost in Australia now.
You're almost in Australia. And physically, how's the body now? How are you holding up?
Yeah, like I said, I was never a cyclist before. I just pure ignorance, West of Ireland man. I challenged my ignorance into a positive light, and yeah, I guess the body is conditioned to keep going. But I think I am seeing the effects of being on the road a while. Like going through Afghanistan, my skin in my hands would have deteriorated completely, like it was completely gone from the sandstorms, the rough terrain, then going through like minus 22 degrees in China. Like your body is enabled for that. But most recently the sweat, like the heat and humidity in Southeast Asia, having to cycle,
Jeez,
you're talking
yeah.
100, 200 kilometers through intense humidity that, look, I could go through cold all my life, but whatever it is about the heat, whatever, my Roscommon body is enabled for it. So, but
Well,
look,
I hope your
managed to get
Roscommon
through it.
skin has the plenty of sunscreen on as well.
Oh
So
yes, okay. I'm a nurse now as well, remember.
you're all over it. So
Yeah.
what's the arrival date in Australia? That's going to be a big one,
Well, 4 months ago, if I'm being honest, but
right?
so I'm a bit behind schedule, Kathryn. But yeah, no, I'm going to continue currently on through the Indonesian islands and hopefully get to Timor-Leste, which is a country a lot of people might have never heard about. But once I reach there, I'm going to be looking for boats that will hopefully take me to Australia, which I've been told is impossible. And look, it might be, but I'd like this trip. I'd rather try and fail than to not try at all. And then I'll start my journey in Australia in Perth because I have a sister and a baby nephew there, and I'll continue all the way across the continent of Australia through Melbourne and finish off at Sydney Opera House. So
Fergal, you
little while to
are
go.
some man for one man. Let me tell you, my brother is out in Australia as he's in Sydney, so I'll make sure. Yeah, you've loads of friends everywhere you go. I know the Irish communities. Every community you pass through, you arrive
Oh, huge.
like
Yeah.
royalty. But it is brilliant because you're doing an incredible thing. You are raising so much money for charities close to your heart, and also it's a reminder to all of us: get out and live. This is what we're here to do. If you could go back in time to tell yourself one thing before you set off, Fergal, what would it be?
Ooh, I would have believed a lot of things, but I would have had doubts about it. But all I had to say was just like be confident in how you think the world is. I would have believed the world is a kind, generous place, and that theory I had has came true. Everyone I've come across has been incredibly kind. We have this perception from Western media, news, just in general. That's how our bodies are programmed to just receive negative news. We don't hear the positive ones, and yeah, it's hard to program your mind to be like kindness is everywhere, but it is. You just have to actually be looking for it to see it. So if I could say anything to anyone, it's to just get out there and be kind to other people, but also get out and see the world. Yeah, and exactly, like I'm raising funds for suicide prevention, and I think getting out and seeing the world and experiencing, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations is, the thing to do. We live so much of our life in comfort, and you'll be surprised how much you can do.
Fergal Guihen, it has been such a pleasure to chat to you this morning. His Instagram page is called at Rossi to Aussie. You can donate there as well. He's cycling from Ireland to Australia. Such a great cause. Listen, travel safe, Fergal. I'll be watching.
Thanks, Kathryn.
Take it
Good
easy.
luck.
Take it easy. Bye.
Bye.